Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Audi and I do lifestyle, hair, and vlog content, and a couple yap session videos on the side where I just talk about whatever I'm feeling that day. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about becoming our true self, complexities of identities, societal expectations, and family dynamics. So grab yourself a cup of tea or whatever it is that you want to drink, get comfortable, and we'll dive right into the essence of rebirth. Well, as a kid, I always felt like I was living a life that wasn't my own. And when I say this, I always felt that I was reading off of a script, that there was more to life than what I was experiencing at the moment. I always wanted more. I always wanted to explore. I always wanted to read off of the paper and live my own life freely, not having to worry about what others had to say about me. Comment down below if you've ever felt like you were living another person's life, because ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to do something else, not live in the same routine, not live the same patterns that my parents would force me to live out, to experience. So maybe your parents told you who you were supposed to be, tried to mold you into the identity that they deemed as acceptable, and at times it just felt like a constant battle between self, who am I, versus who they want me to be. And this is a phenomenon that is certainly not uncommon. I know I'm not the only one that has experienced this. A lot of kids often grow up feeling as if your parents are pushing you into a direction that doesn't really align with who they really want to be. And yes, I know parents at times don't mean any harm, but it kind of feels suffocating in a way. You don't want to live a certain life, yet your parents are forcing you to live a life that really isn't the life that you want to live. And because you're so young, because you're underage, because you don't have any money, you just feel so powerless. You feel as if that you can't do anything. I lived off a script for years and years on end, constantly trying to figure out who I am. I remember going to school, to public school for the first time, and seeing how some kids were just so able to express themselves with something as little as, putting maybe like a streak of color in their hair or painting their nails. I grew up in a very strict religious background, so I couldn't even express myself wearing nail polish or doing the hairstyles that I wanted. I never really got to truly be a kid because I was doing the things that my parents felt were socially acceptable. I was doing the things that they felt was accessible to the church. I really couldn't think for myself. I didn't have freedom to express my creativity through my clothes the way I really wanted to. I feel as if that every child should be able to be themselves without having to face repercussions of their parents' criticism. So being the eldest daughter in a Caribbean household comes with a lot. This tea is hot. I can't even drink it right now. I'm not sure if you guys know this term, but a couple years ago, I stumbled upon a book that went over, I don't remember the name of the book. I think maybe it was a YouTube video, something of the sort. But anyways, the lady was talking about enmeshment and what enmeshment is. So what is enmeshment? Enmeshment is a term that is often overlooked, and it describes an intricate pattern of emotional independency between a parent and a child. Basically meaning a parent meshing their feelings with the child, leaving the child unable to think for themselves, be their own person, to have their own identity. Instead of encouraging the child to have their own individuality, to build their own personality, they sometimes stunt their kids' growth by blurring the lines between self and other. We oftentimes find this trope between, a mother and a daughter, trying to live their life through their daughters, trying to patch up their mistakes and do the things that they wanted to do as a kid, instead forcing their daughter to do the things or follow the dreams that they once had. I oftentimes experienced this with my own parental figures. I found myself living a life that my parents would have wanted to live. At times I did enjoy it, I can't lie, but once I realized that I wasn't really living my own life, it felt like I was in jail. It felt like I was in prison. I felt like I couldn't really be my own self, because once I tried to present my own personal ideas, I was hit with a blank stare or confusion. I realized that this was a form of narcissism, and that a lot of narcissistic mothers tend to be enmeshed with their children, not letting them have their own personal ideas, not having the child have their own personality, be their own selves, thrive in their own creativity. I touched on this on my last video. Let's face it, kids aren't really respected. They're often treated as property. Basically, you do what I tell you to do, and if you don't, then I'm gonna get upset. The child isn't really able to freely think on their own, to do what they want to do. They have to appease to the parents' teachings, or else they are thrown away or looked aside, looked down upon, because that child is disrespectful, or that child has a bad spirit in them. I feel as if, growing up in the Caribbean community, sometimes parents or elders, they really just talk down on kids. Instead, speak life unto your kids. Say, yeah, he kind of doesn't listen at times, but we are still trying. Don't say that kid is a bad kid, or kid doesn't really know what he's doing. This is where the child starts to, manipulate and starts to get inside the mind of the parents. So that's when whenever they want something, they'll just smile or act in a way that they know that their parents will find acceptable, because if they act as their true selves, then they won't get what they want. A child yearning for acceptance, but met with indifference or even disdain. Slowly, resentment brews, and a facade is constructed to appease the parental figures. But at what cost? Literally, the child loses touch with their authentic self and is trapped in a cycle of manipulation and self-doubt. This is when the child starts to realize that, the way I act isn't acceptable. So, let me just smile and act nice and do a couple chores, and maybe then I'll get what I want. Then my mom will buy me that game, or they'll buy me that book, or they'll buy me that nice dress that I see in the mall. Maybe if I, just get straight A's and B's, even though I don't care about school, then that is when I'll get that new phone. That is when, I'll get what I want. And that is what they learn. Basically, do the things that make them happy, and I get what I want. They realize from a very young age, when their opinions are voiced, they are not being heard. They're being gaslit, looked down upon. They're being ignored. And let's be honest, resentment towards our parents is a universal sentiment. Yet, it's crucial to recognize that this resentment often stems from a lack of understanding and acceptance of our true self. And it's time to break free from those shackles of parental expectations and forge our own paths. So in my last video, I talked about this book, Being in Love by Osho. And in the first couple chapters, he talks about how the first 7 years of a child's life is extremely important to their development, how that child will behave, how they will react to, certain things in their life. Their personality is basically built in those first 7 years. And, parents often try to keep their child in a box. They don't let them explore themselves. And that is where the indecisiveness comes in. Those first 7 years of your life, you are being conditioned. I believe that those first 7 years, you shouldn't be conditioned. They should be left untouched. They should be left, free for you to determine who you truly are, because that is how spirit of indecisiveness sets in, and that is where the confusion sets in. And let's really think about it. If every child listened to what their parents said verbatim, there would be no type of evolution. There would be no change in this world. There would be no one really making a change. We would still be in slavery. But I'm not even going to touch on that. Okay, I'm not even going to touch on that. But if every child listened to their parents, word for word, bar for freaking bar, there would certainly be no evolution at all. Another quote that I love from this book is that intelligence is rebellious. To be intelligent is to be rebellious, because no intelligent person is following the rules step by step. It doesn't work like that. So that is why I believe that the first 7 years of a child's life should remain untouched. untouched and, unconditioned, because you never really know what that child is capable of doing. No, I'm not saying, to let that child commit any crime, tear up the schoolhouse or whatnot. That is not what I'm saying. I just feel as if we shouldn't demand perfection from a child. A child is meant to move around, to be rambunctious, to be loud, because that child is finding their own voice. So the main reason why I wanted to talk about this, I have a list of videos that I could have talked about, but I wanted to talk about this specifically because this weekend I experienced something from my parents. I was about to go out to my friend's birthday dinner, and once again, it's been a while since I experienced this. It's been a minute since my mother has said anything to me about the religion that I committed to a while ago when I was younger. But, a couple years later down the line, I told my parents that religion no longer aligns with me, that I don't feel as that religion is right for me. And I was glad in the moment when I said this, because I was very calm. I wasn't, erratic. I wasn't screaming or yelling. I was very much calm. So when I was going out said night to my friend's party, and she said that my mom insisted on my adherence to a religion belief that simply didn't resonate with me. And despite my attempts to assert my truth, I was met with resistance and disappointment. It's a narrative that's echoed by countless individuals who yearn for acceptance, but fear rejection from their own kin. I accept myself for who I am, and that I rather live in my truth than to live a lie, because a lot of people are comfortable living in a lie. I just know that me, myself, and I can't live in a lie, because if I lie to myself, how do you expect me to be truthful to others? How do you expect me to be truthful in certain situations? You should want to be your true self. You should want to live in your own light, not in the light of others, because living in the light of others means that you're not living for yourself. You can't spend your whole life living for others. That's just something that you can't do, because you'll be on your deathbed wishing that you stood up for yourself. Once again, I stood my ground and I let my parents know that, hey, this isn't who I am anymore. And then she resorted to saying that since I was pregnant with you, I knew that you were of this certain religion. I knew that you were going to be of this religion. So there's no telling me that you aren't this religion, because I know you. I know who you are. This is something else that I want to talk about. Once you become your true self, people will start to get angry that you aren't acting in the role that they written for you, that they wrote for you. People get angry when they no longer have access to the old version of yourself, because they no longer can connect with you anymore. And maybe they need to work on themselves and realize that that anger is just a form of them missing you. And it's okay to miss somebody, but you should allow your friends or someone else to grow. You shouldn't try to keep them in their old patterns when it isn't really benefiting them. So that's just another thing to look out for. This ties back to enmeshment. So enmeshment, particularly with narcissistic mothers, can further complicate the journey towards self-discovery. So boundaries blur and individuality fades as the child becomes an extension of the parent's ego. And truth be told, it's a suffocating existence, devoid of autonomy and authenticity. But amidst the turmoil of rebirth, there is solace in the realization that shedding old identities allows room for new connections. As we release toxic relationships and embrace our true selves, that is when we start to attract those who uplift and inspire us to thrive in our energy, to thrive in our creativity, to thrive in our new selves. Remember that the path to self-discovery may be riddled with obstacles, but with courage and authenticity, we can actually come out on top and be reborn in our own truth. You'll constantly be tempted to go back to your old self, and dismiss all the hard work that you've done. But with courage and authenticity, we can emerge on top and reborn in our truth. So until next time, guys, let's remember to stay true to ourselves and embrace the journey of becoming. So if this message resonated with you guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know how you guys feel about this video, about any points in this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll love to, communicate with you guys. I love the community that is growing from my videos, and I've seen so much growth these last couple of weeks, and it is truly amazing to see you guys, your thoughts and your opinions and how you guys feel about, the content that I'm creating. I truly appreciate your support. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.